One of the first steps you'll have to do in any woodworking project is squaring up and milling rough lumber. And all of our woodworking machines rely on straight square edges to do accurate work. The table saw, chop saw, bandsaw, any of the tools, the router, need straight flat edges and square faces to do their work properly. So milling up the lumber is always the first step. Now, there's a procedure for milling wood that's a simple one to follow, and it has an acronym called FEE, which stands for faces, edges, and ends. And what that means is that you're always starting with the faces first. The face is the wide part of the board, and you're flattening the face. And then edges refers to the edge here. You're squaring up the edge to the newly flattened faces. And then the ends refer to the ends of the boards that you're then cutting off in a cross cut, square to the edges that you've just now made square to the faces. So it's this sequential process where you're squaring up and flattening the wood in a way that leads to a perfectly square flat board. Usually the first step in this process with the faces is to hop onto the jointer and flatten your face. If you've got one flat face already, reasonably flat, and you can check it on your jointer table if your pieces are small like this. If the pieces are sitting flat already, like this one, there's no need to actually even use the jointer. You can jump right into the planer. But most of the time there's some little cupping or bowing that you need to take care of on the jointer. So let's do that first. Now in my scenario, we're working with two pieces of wood that are going to end up being the same. We need them to be the same thickness, and they're going to be a little tabletop. And so whenever you do milling, you always do your work in a batch, meaning whatever I do to this piece, I'm going to do to this piece as well before I change any of the settings on the machines. And that goes for the jointer, the planer, and the table saw. You always work in a batch like this. Okay, so let's look at the jointer first. Let's say we have to flatten these faces. First step, let's get the jointer to the proper width to accommodate our stock. Open this fence up a little bit so we've got enough room. We'll lock it in place. You want to check again to see the depth that you're cutting. So you can use a little engineer square to check that. See the height difference in the tables. It looks good to me. We're not going to take a very aggressive cut. And then we're ready to go. The last thing you want to look at and consider when you're using these machines, the jointer and planer especially, is wood grain direction. Okay? The grain direction of the wood actually has a big impact on how the machines perform and how smooth of a cut you're going to get. Let's look at this board, for example, here. If you can see the grain of the wood in the side, I'll follow one of these with my pencil. You can see it's going uphill from right to left. What that means is that the wood fibers in this piece of wood are actually sticking up like this pencil out of the wood. So in a machine like this, if we were to pass this over top of these blades, which are spinning at me, if the wood is sticking out like this, the blade is going to catch the fibers of the wood and tear them out. So one of the things you always want to do is make sure your wood is oriented so that that doesn't happen. If we spin this around, that means now the fibers are facing this way. That means now when the blade comes around, it's just going to push the fiber back down. So it's going to be a much smoother cut. We're not going to get any tear out. Okay, we're ready for our first face flattening. We're ready to go. I'm just going to be passing this over the blade. Okay, that's one. We want to check and make sure it actually did get flattened. Let's put it on the table. Yes, looks good, nice and flat. So put that one aside. And then you would do the same thing for your next piece. Run it through and flatten it as well. Once you have the flat faces done, you can bring it over to the planer for the next step.